Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome again to Iowa Prison Perspectives. For those of you who haven't been here before, I'm going to talk just a little bit about what this YouTube channel is about and why I created it. My name is Sue Hutchins, and this particular channel is a collaboration between Iowa Justice Action Network, Living Beyond the Bars of Iowa, and Iowa Cure. And the reason that I created this was to inform you, the public, about prison life, and about what happens to people when they're in prison, what their life is like, and what reentry is like for them. I interview people who have been in prison. I interview people who have loved ones who either are or have been in prison, people who work with people who are in prison on a volunteer basis as well as a professional basis. And also, I interview people who have worked for the Department of Corrections in Iowa in one form or another. So it's intended to give you a perspective from all different angles about prison. I also interview people from surrounding states because I've been asked by you, the public, to wondering what happens in other states that are around us. So there are some of these interviews that are on this channel are people from other states. My desire to inform you is at the heart of this. And one of the things that I would like back is to know whether or not this is helpful. So I would like you to contact me if you would, and let me know if you think what I'm doing, if you think this is a good idea, if you think this is a bad idea, if you agree, if you don't agree, what your thoughts and feelings about this are, about this channel and about prison in Iowa. And also, if you would like to be interviewed because you have some connection with prison, let me know that. I can be reached at Iowa Prison Perspectives at gmail.com. And that's IA Prison Perspectives at gmail.com. I also would like you to like this and follow this channel if you're interested. That helps let me know how many people are interested in this. And it's encouraging to keep moving forward. So, that being said, I want to welcome you again and thank you for coming and tuning in. Today this is my first interview with someone who actually works in prison ministry in the prisons in Iowa. And that is a very, very critical component of what happens for men and women who are incarcerated. This gentleman's name is Paul, and I'm going to turn it over to him so that he can tell you what got him interested in this, what his thoughts were prior to getting involved in working with people who are incarcerated, how he's changed, and what this has been like for him. So, Paul, I turn it over to you. It is all yours.
Thank you, Sue. Um, this whole thing started back in 2016. My wife and I attend St. Mark's Church, and that's in Marion. And we were very active in the Alpha program. And so um, during a visit in Davenport, I went to a Rotary meeting, and the guest speaker at that Rotary meeting was Rusty Borloff. And Rusty was at that time the executive director of 180. 180 is an organization made up of people who have been in prison and or jail. And from what I understand, the courts actually give this as an option to some people versus prison. So Rusty has done an outstanding job of coming up with ways in which these guys can stay employed. So, for example, he had electricians, he had painters, roofers, architecture, architecture as far as landscaping. And he talked about the guys as being people you don't typically think of when you think of people in prison. So he made comments that these guys are very creative, they're hardworking, they're very committed. And as I'm listening to him talking, I'm going, wow, that's not what I had in my mind of, and your mental picture of what prisoners look like. The next day, I get a phone call from Marlis Fruling, who is Perry Fruling's wife. He was at the time the lead pastor at St. Mark's. Martha said, you've done a good job with Alpha, and we like your involvement, but we're thinking about taking it to Anamosa. Is that something you'd be interested in? And this is one day after I heard Rusty speaking, and so I felt like there was a fate,
No accidents, no
Yeah, no, it's no
accidents,
accident.
no accident.
Um, so there was about 12 people from St. Mark's that went in on Tuesday nights. We'd get there at about 5:30. At 6, the guys would come up. The very first time was I was never worried or scared, but I was a little anxious.
Mhm.
And as in short order, I was proven that my preconceived notions were all wrong, very wrong.
And what were those preconceived notions?
That these guys were there to help them with faith. The guys I spoke with know the Bible better than I do, and they're more dedicated to reading the Bible. They have a very, very dedicated life to Jesus Christ, and it blew me away. And not only that, but the level of intelligence blew me away.
Hmm.
These are sharp guys. They're as I'm sitting there, I'm going, there's not much different between you and I. And in a lot of ways, we're very similar. And so before I
For a
always
lot
thought,
of us, the difference is we didn't
yeah,
get caught.
yeah, you're exactly right. And I remember one time I was in high school, and Chuck Dillard was the associate principal, and he called me down to his office, and I walk in, there's my mom and dad, and we're going to have a chat. I had a problem staying in school. But the reason I say the story is because he said, Paul, I don't know what's wrong with you, but everybody else who comes into this school who has problems do not have two loving parents that care and love for them. And so that's one thing that I
Yes.
think is different. Um,
Yes.
they're with the way they were brought up. I'd be sitting right next to them. I have no doubt if I was brought up in their surroundings. But again, a
Hmm.
lot of them just great kids, and I never ever asked anybody what they're in for, but I did find out that a lot of them were in for something they did when they were 18. They're now 35, and they weren't even the one that perpetrated the murder, and they were there.
Right.
So in the last 10 years, of course, we had that break during COVID, and
Hmm.
during that break of COVID, I found a real emptiness in my worship life, in my faith life, because I didn't realize it was almost to the point too where I'm like, am I going there for them or am I going there for me? And it's not supposed to be a me thing, but I do believe that if it's beneficial to both, it will sustain itself for a lot longer. And so
Hmm.
that's the key, I think. Um, but yeah, I've come to know a lot of the guys on a personal basis. Um, I miss them when I'm not there.
Hmm.
There's a gentleman you and I both know called Akbar. Um, Akbar asked me to get him in touch with a financial planner. And it's amazing how many people I had to call before I could find someone that would be willing to do this. And I called one gentleman who just basically started his business a year ago, 2 years ago. And so he's a committed Christian, and he and both Bar and Josh is his name, have both said they've really enjoyed the whole process. Um, and many times Josh has said to me how intelligent Bar is, Akbar, because um, he uses his time very wisely. Um, we talked about it, it's like almost like a think tank before
Hmm.
getting out. Now's the time to percolate. What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And then start preparing for it. And this young man has done a great job. And he's why we are talking right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
So we have November 6th. Is that it?
Yes.
Yes. And that's a Thursday, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was sitting there when we were talking about that. Is that the day we go vote? No, that's
Well, if it were an
Thursday night.
election year, yes,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
not an election year, so no.
Oh, isn't it? No, no mayor
Well,
or local?
well, local,
Yeah,
but I was talking about
yeah,
the
right. But
next year. Yeah, next year is the governor and the
yes, and it's
legislatures.
funny because in my comments and conversations with Akbar, I'd say, dude, I had no idea. I had no my impressions of what was going on and the people that are here, 100% wrong. Now, I'm sure that's true for some of them, and I will agree that we're dealing probably with the upper 2% of the population when I'm in
Mhm.
there. Um,
Mhm.
but it's been a great opportunity, great experience, and I've tried to tell people, hey, if it's something you think you might be interested in, do it. You got to do it because you'll be shocked. I even attended a graduation of the Prison Fellowship Ministry uh, in the Fort Dodge, and it was amazing. And one of the guys there went from Anamosa to Fort Dodge to start the Prison Fellowship Ministry program because he'd
Ah,
been through it once, and they were asking for a volunteer that they would be relocated if that's okay, and if they would be instrumental in doing that. So that was a great experience, and I met the gentleman's mom, nice lady, sweet lady, loves her son dearly. But the whole experience has been a very, very positive one. And that's why I want to get involved in restoring citizens of Iowa because um, there's a lot of wasted money, wasted talent, and these people that I know personally, there's no reason they should be in there. They're costing us money, and they should be out being productive in the society, and I know they would be.
you said, I just want to address this for the audience because I think it's important. You said, I think that you believe that we're dealing with like you're dealing with like the top 2%. Would you agree that there are people who belong in prison who are not, our society is not safe if they're out here?
I have no doubt. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't.
Sometimes we get interpreted as we just want to let everybody out of prison. And
Yeah,
that's not the case. That's not the
right.
case.
Yes,
I'm a believer that everybody ought to have the opportunity for parole.
yes,
Everybody ought to
yeah.
have, I mean, we gave Charlie Manson the opportunity for parole
Right.
in
Yeah,
California. Everybody ought to have the opportunity to see the parole board and be paroled.
yeah.
Not
Without that, there's no
everybody
hope.
belongs. That's well, and would you say, is it fair to say, well, let me ask you, what is are you surprised by the people who are lifers or long-term sentences, the amount of hope and motivation that they maintain?
Especially after there's a speaker named Pastor Q. He's from Waterloo, and he's
Uh-huh.
come in and done. He'll do a presentation and bring their band, and
Sweetheart.
that's the one thing is they are
What a name.
had they have hope. Without hope, you don't have anything, and I think that they all should have hope. I just do, and yeah, it'd be a terrible existence to
Without hope.
feeling like you're just stuck there.
For me, and I mean, for a number of people that I have worked with over the years since I've been doing this, for me personally, I am in awe of people who are lifers who maintain such a degree of hope and motivation
Hmm.
and faith and just keep working hard, getting degrees, working hard, getting
Yep.
better, helping others. I mean, guys who have been in 20, 30, 40, 50 years who
Yes.
are still
Yep.
working on themselves and
Yep.
wanting to contribute.
I
With
think that's yeah.
virtually in Iowa right now, there's no actual reason, a statistical, logical reason for them to
Right.
hold on to hope, but they do.
They do.
To me, that is
Yeah.
just,
It's crazy. Yeah, there's a
that
gentleman
is
there just last
awesome.
Saturday. Last Saturday I was there. He was accepted to get his master's in counseling, and UNI is writing a program so that he can share this with the men in Anamosa. And so and he said, I never heard this, but if sometimes one guy will look at another guy and say, "Do you have a number?" Inferring, "Do you have a number, or are you a lifer?" Right? And
Right.
so, and he made it very clear, I'm not getting out. This is some program I want to run here. So with the use of you and I and him, they're together tailoring a specific program for inmates.
Hmm.
He's using it to help the environment, help his the guys at Anamosa. So it's
It's
awesome.
amazing. It's
Yeah,
amazing. And in my experience, the lifers do so much for the younger men who do have a number of years and are going to be getting out. I mean, they work very hard to help those guys turn around,
They do. It's
very
amazing.
hard,
It's a
so that they
fraternity
don't
almost.
end up
Yeah,
doing life. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It is. It's amazing to me. I'm always very impressed with the motivation and the care and the concern.
yeah.
So you say that you have learned a lot in terms of your mindset, and your
Hmm.
mindfulness has shifted quite a bit. What are some of the things that you have learned from working with these folks, being there with, not really working with, but being there with these gentlemen?
Well, I don't know if the listeners are aware of this, but before I go in for prison fellowship ministry, which is a year-long course, it's done twice a week, Wednesday nights and Saturdays, and there is graduation afterwards. But before doing that, I go in at 7:30 to chapel, and this chapel is led by the inmates, and so you have three or four, some maybe five guys that are the leaders, with one real obvious kind of a pastor, if you will. Um, but they are really opening up the Bible and going through that Bible study, and it's an in-depth study. And these guys apply themselves, and then each one of them is going to be at some point in the near future will be assigned to lead and teach the Bible based on the principles, and it does a lot for their disposition, and their attitude is number one. You get up and you speak in front of a group. That's tough for a lot of people. Tough for me. I
Mhm.
get that. So having doing that is a victory. But then what they learn, and then the gratification that comes to them for doing it, and the other inmates thanking them, it's such a positive environment. It's unbelievable. Yeah,
Very, yeah, it sounds like very uplifting for you. I
so
mean, it
much.
makes
Yeah.
you feel, yeah. So I mean, I've heard other people who work with people in prison, or who write to people in prison, or who like myself, who are with families. My main thing
Mm.
is families, working with the families, which includes the inmate. That we get more out of it, I think, than they do.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
they are so very, very grateful that somebody cares, and they have no idea how much they give to us by their
Yeah.
hope and their changes and their attitude and their constant motivation. So,
I've had one guy say, when you guys are here, I don't feel like I'm in prison,
mhm.
and so that's amazing, isn't it? It's like,
Yes,
what?
it is that you
Yeah.
actually take them to another place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for that period of time, they're not in prison in their mind. The prison can control your body, but it can't control your mind.
That's very true. I've had people say, um, I'm glad I'm here. If I was not here now, I'd probably be dead.
Right. Prison
Yeah.
saved my life.
Yeah. And I've heard people say, I'm freer here than I ever was out there. And
Hmm.
so it is amazing if you allow your mind to grow and reach. There's a lot of things that could turn that environment around.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and that speaks to what we've talked about before in terms of programs in prison. And I know that you are hopeful that there will be some programs that will be helpful to
Mm-hmm.
people in prison. Some apprenticeships that can come back, and a variety
Yes.
of other kinds of actually helpful programs. What kinds of things do you think would be the most helpful?
I know the one thing that helped me a lot, and I know it's a lot of guys at Anamosa would like this, is Toastmasters.
Hmm.
Because presenting in front of a group, articulating your ideas in a well thought process is important. And maybe not to go out and give presentations, but certainly to do an interview, that's huge. Having that
Hmm.
experience and having that practice. Um, and there's a lot of guys that have been in Toastmasters that really want it back in Anamosa. And I've had talks with them, the Tracy at Anamosa. I think she wants it there. I do think there's probably a shortage of staff. So I think anything that's not standard then puts a drain on the staff also. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I honestly pray about that because that would help them feel better about themselves. And there's also several levels that you can go in Toastmasters, so that accomplishment feeling is certainly available through that program.
And really helps people, like you say, feel better about themselves, gain some confidence,
Yeah,
find out that they really can do more than they thought they could do, that they're
yeah,
not losers, that they're not worthless, that they're human beings with something to offer, that their thoughts matter, all of that sort of thing.
yeah,
One of the things that I've thought about, and I just would like your opinion on, is I've thought about financial budgeting, financial planning, like an actual course on money management. And
yeah,
because so often what I've seen is when people come out of prison, they have no idea how to manage money, and they spend it the minute they get it, and
yeah.
they don't really have anything to show for it, and then they don't have money for what they need.
Yes,
So I've often thought that financial literacy would be
I think it's
something really,
critical. Yeah,
yeah, would be something very valuable
yeah,
to.
and they don't walk out loaded, that's for sure. So that makes it even more important. Yeah,
Right. Well, and they walk out with a lot of them walk out with quite a bit of debt.
yeah,
The fees,
yes,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
thousands and thousands of dollars, and then they go to, once they come out here, if they go to a halfway house, they have to pay,
yeah.
and they have to get a job, and and I mean it's difficult.
Sure, it
It's
is.
difficult for those of us who have been out here. It's
Yeah,
it's
I
really
think
difficult to come out.
learn how to balance a checkbook. I mean, who writes a check anymore, right? But I mean, it's
Right.
still that process of understanding how do I manage my money. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
yeah,
Yep. And how
and
do you
there's
make a budget? And how do you decide what
yeah,
you're going to do with the money that you have? So, yes,
yeah,
yes, yes. Well, I certainly appreciate you coming here,
absolutely.
and being willing to do this interview. It's really
Yes.
important that the public hear about what your experience is like and what your prison ministry does.
Hmm.
I know you're in Anamosa. Are you in any, is your ministry in any other prisons?
Yes, it is.
Fort Dodge, you said. Yeah.
Yeah, Fort Dodge has one. The gentleman who heads up this area also does Minnesota and one other, Dakota, I think, South Dakota. But I mean, and it's really being brought back because it's been going on for many years, but then it took a hiatus and took a break, and now, um, believe it or not, after the course we're in right now, it'll end up
Mhm.
in April. 10% of the population would have gone through it, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and I think what you're seeing is the first go around, you had people that really were at chapel and those sort of, but then when people talk about it to other people, and it's like, I even said, we should give you guys all these T-shirts so you could advertise this program. Or, someone says, what's that? And share it with them
Hmm.
because it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So when we're all said and done, it'd be awesome if we could say we touch 50% of the population. That's going to affect change. There's no way
Yes.
it can't.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right. In the institution and for people when they do come out. Exactly.
100%. Yeah,
And I think you would agree that that's what we need. We need that in prison, and we also need it out here.
yes, we
We need
do.
we
Yeah,
need all the help we can get at this
yeah.
point to unify and to for people to get along and have faith, whatever your faith is, whether
Hmm.
you're Christian, Muslim, whatever you are.
Yes,
People need faith
yeah,
and a set of standards to live by that do not hurt other people.
yeah, yeah. The hope we
Yeah,
need hope
hope,
there. Yeah,
hope. Because we
yeah.
really all want the same thing. We want a
100%.
place to put our head at night on a pillow. We want food. We want our families to be okay. I mean, we all want, everybody in the
You're
world
absolutely right.
wants the same thing.
100%. We're a
And
lot more alike than we have differences, but yeah,
exactly. And that's one of the things that you found out when you started
yeah,
being involved in this ministry is that you're a lot more like people in prison
yeah,
than you are different and that you
yeah,
ever thought you would be.
yeah.
Yeah. And that whole thing about I'm going there to help them and then realizing I'm not so sure that this isn't more of a two-way
For
street
me.
than what I
Yeah,
realized. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
So,
So that's, yeah, that's a blessing.
yeah, for your listeners, I would say get encouraged. I would encourage you if you have any desire to become involved in some outreach program for the prison ministries. Um, and certainly get on board with Restore Iowa Citizens, because there are some things that aren't right and need to be corrected. And so I appreciate the opportunity for sharing the story, and I appreciate the opportunity being in the group.
Well, and I really appreciate you also. Thank you. And I hope, and I think the
Thank you.
listeners will um, be happy to hear from you and listen to your story.
Yeah,
People who won't listen to me may very well listen to
yeah,
you, and that's
they
what we
could.
need. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter who you listen to; we just got to listen.
right. 100%.
So,
So,
so before we end, is there anything that you want to make sure that you have said before the interview is over?
no, just to reiterate, if you have any thought you might be interested, I think you should do it and become involved in some shape or form, because it's needed, it's appreciated, and it's valuable. So,
Well, again, thank you very much for your time. I really
okay.
appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful day.
Yes, you too.
Thank you.
So we'll close for now for today. And once again, I'm Sue Hutchins, and this is Iowa Prison Perspectives. And I can be reached at Iowa Prison Perspectives at gmail.com. And that's IA Prison Perspectives at gmail.com. So thank you very much for listening. And please make some comments and let me know what you think and how you feel. And I will see you again shortly within the next week. Thank you and have a good day. Bye now.